"Uncle, please stop. It hurts." That was the last thing she said before silence swallowed the room. The night wind rustled the curtains, but the house stayed still, holding a secret too heavy for its walls. The morning sun poured gently through the cracked window, dancing on the walls of the small two-bedroom flat in Enugu. 12-year-old Chiamaka sat at the edge of her bed, her eyes fixed on the small crack running across the floor. Her uncle, Emeka, was in the kitchen, humming as he made breakfast, the same man who had promised her mother he would take good care of her. Ngozi, her mother, worked in the city, chasing every opportunity to make life better for her daughter. Emeka was her younger brother, charming, polite, and trusted. "He's good with children," Ngozi always said proudly. And at first he was. He helped with homework, took Chiamaka to school, and even braided her hair on weekends. Everyone in the compound called him Uncle of the Year. But beneath that kind smile was something dark, something that waited until the nights grew quiet, until the child had no one left to call for help. It began with small touches, innocent at first, or so he made it seem. A pat on the shoulder that lingered too long. A hug that didn't end soon enough. Then one night, everything changed. Power went out, and the world went dark. Chiamaka was asleep when the door creaked open. His voice came softly through the dark. "Don't be afraid, my dear. Uncle will keep you safe." She didn't understand what he meant until his hands moved where they shouldn't. Her small voice trembled. "Uncle, please stop. It hurts." But he only whispered, "Shh, don't cry. This is our secret. If you tell anyone, your mummy will send you away." And just like that, silence became her prison. Days turned to weeks, and the same thing kept happening. Emeka always made sure to smile in public, always made sure no one suspected anything. Neighbors adored him. "Ah, Emeka, you will make a good father one day," they often said. He would laugh, hiding the monster behind his teeth. At night, he became someone else entirely. Each time, he reminded her, "Remember, no one must know. If you talk, I will leave, and your mummy will cry." So she said nothing. She carried her pain like a second skin, silent, invisible, suffocating. At school, her teacher noticed she had stopped smiling. Her drawings were no longer colorful. Instead, she drew dark rooms, people with no faces, and girls with eyes full of tears. But when asked what was wrong, she only said, "Nothing." When Ngozi finally returned home for a visit, she noticed how her daughter flinched whenever Emeka entered the room. She thought it was just teenage moodiness. "Don't be rude to your uncle," she scolded. And each time she said that, Chiamaka's heart broke a little more. One night, while Ngozi was packing for another business trip, Chiamaka tried to speak. "Mummy," she began softly, "can you stay this time?" Ngozi smiled tiredly, brushing her hair aside. "I wish I could, my dear, but we need this money. Uncle Emeka will take care of you." And that was the night Chiamaka stopped hoping anyone would save her. Weeks passed, and Chiamaka's silence grew heavier. Her eyes lost their light, her laughter faded. But Emeka remained the same, smiling in daylight, hunting in darkness. Until one Sunday afternoon, a simple mistake changed everything. Ngozi had come home unannounced, planning to surprise her daughter with new clothes and snacks. As she entered the compound, she noticed how unusually quiet the house was. She called, "Chiamaka?" No answer. She climbed the stairs, her heels clicking against the tiles, and stopped when she heard faint sobs coming from her daughter's room. The door was slightly open. What she saw when she pushed it fully will haunt her forever. Chiamaka froze where he was, his body hovering over the trembling child. Chiamaka's eyes met her mother's wide, wet and pleading. Ngozi screamed. The kind of scream that split the air, that made neighbors rush out in confusion. Chiamaka stumbled backward, muttering incoherently, "It's not what you think." But she didn't let him finish. She grabbed the nearest object, a lamp, and swung it with all her strength. "You touched my child!" she roared, hitting him again as he fell. "You monster! My own brother!" Neighbors burst in, dragging her away before she could do more harm. Chiamaka scrambled to his feet, face bloodied, and bolted through the back door. Ngozi collapsed on the floor, clutching her daughter, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have known." That night, she didn't sleep. She held Chiamaka close, whispering apologies between tears. The following morning, she went to the police station. Her voice trembled, but she spoke every word clearly. "My brother abused my child. I want him found." The officers listened, half interested, their eyes heavy with indifference. "Madam, we'll look into it," one said lazily. But Ngozi refused to leave until they filed the report. Days later, Chiamaka was found hiding in a nearby town. The arrest spread through the community like wildfire. The compound went silent when the police led Chiamaka away. Neighbors who had once praised him stood frozen, confusion painted across their faces. "Ah, what happened?" someone whispered. "Is it money issue?" another asked. But Ngozi said nothing. She just held Chiamaka close as the car door slammed and the engine started. For the first time in months, her daughter didn't flinch when someone raised their voice. She just buried her face in her mother's arms and cried. It wasn't loud. It was the kind of cry that came from deep inside, full of years she hadn't lived yet. Ngozi stroked her back, whispering, "You're safe now, my baby. You're safe." By evening, word had spread. Some neighbors came with sympathy, others with gossip. "Ah, Ngozi, how can you accuse your own brother?" one asked. She looked at them quietly, eyes empty. "If protecting my child makes me wicked," she said, "then so be it." Later that night, she sat alone in the living room, staring at the spot where Chiamaka used to sit laughing, pretending, lying. The house felt lighter now, but her heart was still heavy. Healing had started, but it was a slow kind, one that came with memories and flashbacks. At Chiamaka's school, the counselor arranged therapy sessions. The first few days were hard. She barely spoke. But each time, she drew instead small pictures of birds flying out of cages, of a girl holding her mother's hand. Little by little, her silence began to melt into color and words. One evening, while watching the sunset together, Chiamaka said softly, "Mummy, do you think God still loves me?" Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. She held her daughter's face gently and whispered, "More than ever, my child, because even broken things can still shine." Years passed, and the dust of that dark season slowly settled. Chiamaka's name was no longer whispered in the village, it was spat, buried with disgust. He was serving his sentence far away, his face erased from the family's pride. But for Ngozi and Chiamaka, healing was not a straight path. It came in waves, some days calm, others stormy. There were nights when Chiamaka still woke up trembling, calling out for her mother. Each time, Ngozi would wrap her arms around her and hum the same lullaby she used to sing before everything went wrong. "You are safe, my child," she'd whisper into her hair. "You are safe now." Slowly the nightmares faded. Chiamaka learned to smile again, to draw again, to laugh with friends. She found light, not by forgetting, but by surviving. By the time she turned 16, she stood tall, quiet, but strong. Her mother had become an advocate in their community, using her voice to warn other women. She gathered mothers and fathers under the mango tree every month and said, "Evil doesn't always come with horns. Sometimes it comes with a smile and says, 'Trust me.'" The people listened. Some wept. Some looked at their children differently that night, with more care, with more attention. The silence that once covered such things like shame had started to break, and Chiamaka, though scarred, became a beacon for others. She began drawing again, not the darkness, but the freedom that followed. One painting, hung in the local hall, showed a little girl walking out of a cage, sunlight spilling all around her. Beneath it, she wrote in careful handwriting, "If you see something wrong, speak. Silence is the bed where evil sleeps." The tale of Ngozi and her daughter became a quiet legend, not one told for entertainment, but as a warning. Because in every family, in every village, danger hides where trust is blind. And so, parents began to watch closer. Mothers began to listen more. Children learned that their pain was never too small to be believed. That was how a tragedy turned into a caution, and how one family's pain became a shield for many others.